Madam Director General, you talk about tensions. There's actually a saying that says when trade starts, war may stop. But the sad reality we're facing right now is war started and trade suffered. But you said the war and geopolitical tensions in the world, quote unquote, further underscored the need for trade. Can you elaborate?
Let me elaborate by saying this first. We should remember that when the multilateral trading system was created after World War II, with the General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade, which later became the WTO, the idea was that interdependence, not over-dependence, interdependence would bring peace. And we must admit that over the past 75 years, the system has largely delivered. The world has been peaceful. Over 1 billion people have been lifted out of poverty, a lot of them in China, of course, but not only in China. And so we should think through this, that the system created largely delivered, and we should not be in a hurry to say this system doesn't work or throw out the baby with the bathwater. That's why we think that the multilateral trading system is key. It is not perfect. You know that some people were left behind. Poor people in rich countries may not have benefited. And of course, there are poor countries who did not benefit. And what we're saying now is, rather than say, let's throw this system away, let's look at how we can deal with the vulnerabilities we see in the system. We've seen through the pandemic and the war in Ukraine that some supply chains are vulnerable. Let's see how we can build resilience by diversifying supply chains. And we can do it in such a way that we can include those who were left behind. Pharmaceuticals. We saw that during the pandemic, 10 countries in the world export 80% of the vaccines. That didn't work very well because some poor countries were left at the end of the queue. Countries in Africa had to wait for vaccines. So we should think about how do we diversify the pharmaceutical supply chain so that the African continent with 1.4 billion people can also produce some of its vaccines. That will build resilience. Next time there is a pandemic, people don't need to die if we have the technology because we can manufacture quickly. So the issue is trying to deal with the over-dependence on in certain sectors and deconcentrating production and diversifying. Not saying that globalization doesn't work or trade doesn't work.